heroism. It's the pursuit of two ideals, excellence and a higher purpose. This noble mission is not just found in Hollywood. It's a game changer for businesses devoted to it. Almost all business owners launch their company to make a difference in the world around them. Join us on the Heroic Experience as we talk with business owners, senior leaders, and established entrepreneurs so that you too can elevate your business to heroic success. Now, here's your host, John D. Hanson.
Welcome back to the Heroic Experience. We are proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Happy to have Chaz Freutel in studio with us today. Chaz, a serial entrepreneur. We start the first segment off. We like to hear the wow stories, the client stories that just are those things that come top of mind. So we'd love to hear stories of clients that have had an amazing journey with you. If you'd share one or two of those with us this morning.
Well, good morning, John. It's a pleasure to be here today. I've certainly become a serial entrepreneur myself. I started out just solopreneur, doing my own thing. The city of Dublin grabbed a hold of me and said, hey, would you be willing to manage the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center for us? So that was one of my first contracting gigs when I started my business in 2009, and the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center launched in February of 2009, February, April area. And so it's been just a tremendous experience to be able to see now over 170 businesses come through and graduate from the deck. And we hover between 135 and 160 businesses that we have then on site. So well over 300 businesses that we've taken care of. And so just to grab one or two experiences is kind of tough, but I do have a few. Okay. One that was very, very early in the process was a company called EcoChem, owned by Josh Cook, and he formulated his own new fuel. Really? And the fuel is called High Performance Clean Diesel, and he went through a process, pretty brilliant guy, and went through a process of just taking diesel fuel, which was mandated by the federal government to reduce, some emissions. Of the emissions and whatnot. But by reducing some of those things, it also takes some of the viscosity, some of the lubricity out away from the fuel. So then it was burning out diesel engines and things like that. So he came up with a new fuel, where he took diesel fuel and then he kind of further cleaned it out and added some things and came up with a new fuel that's just been fantastic. And so sold it to the city of Dublin, still sells it to the city of Dublin and the Dublin City Schools, as well as other schools and fleets and things like that. And that's been successful now for, over 10 years. But now he's done some other things, so he's expanded from that. So he started a company called Fuel Drop, which basically would take small, like F-150 pickup trucks with little tankers on them and go around and have clients that are maybe in a building or a business that has 100 or more employees with cars out in the lot. And so you'd go onto a website, onto an app and be able to say, hey, I want my fuel topped off today as a customer. And so you'd leave your gas door popped open. And they'd come around the fuel, the fuel truck, and come and fill up your tank while you're working. I mean, just, saving you time and going to the gas station, dealing with fluctuating prices, all those kind of things, and just bring a little consistency. Automatically charge your credit card, leave you a little note. This is how much we put in. Right. Even adding maybe change your wipers, those kind of things. So great model there. But also talked with him just this week also, and he said that they're doing some new things called Smart Pump, which is actually replacing pumps at schools, actual schools taking some of their old pumps out or maybe putting new pumps in and providing their new fuel, which is called High Performance Clean Diesel. And as far as I know, and talking with him, and I don't think he's too much of a puffer, but his fuel is so good that it's exceeding expectations for the new levels of for the injectors. The injectors get clogged up with particles.
Yes.
And so most fuels that you go to at any gas pump has particles levels above the required amount, and you want to get it below that, and his meets those qualifications, so which is really good. So neat company, continues to kind of pivot, look at new angles of how to be successful, really wants to bring good clean fuel to America, and has done a great job, at least in Ohio and parts of the Midwest to be able to do that. So so pretty exciting.
So it went from
pretty cool.
one guy to how many employees now?
Good golly, you don't need a lot of employees to do what he does, but he's got 5 to 10, something like that. But he's got a good number of investors and and folks that he's been working with. But it's exciting stuff. It's good to see a company, and he's been at the deck that whole time. So he's been one of our tenants that's been around for nearly the entire time that we've been in existence, and so that's pretty cool.
Well, and everybody needs fuel.
Yeah.
You got to get from point A to point B. So if you can find a way to make a superior product, and then a value add of the convenience of like a concierge service where you don't even have to worry about taking your car to the gas station. I mean, that's genius.
Well, and two, now with the smart pump and with kids, if kids standing by a school bus, you stood beside a school bus and smell the fumes coming out of those things? Okay.
Right.
So if you can lower that, then you're helping your kids, you're helping your neighborhood, you're helping your area just by cleaning that fuel. So putting their cleaner fuel in those in those school areas and other fleets is a tremendous help to the environment as well. So
we've got about a minute and a half left before the first break. Time flies in these 9-minute segments. What would you say is kind of the thing that's most rewarding, because you've seen so many companies impacted by the Entrepreneurial Center, and I had the privilege of being there for a period of time as well.
Yeah, it was great having you.
What would you say is kind of the most rewarding thing that you see as being director of that?
Well, people come in with all different levels of skill and knowledge and experience, and they've got a great idea. And so it's seeing that idea come to fruition. It's seeing them maybe hire their first employee. It's connecting them with the tools and resources that they need to succeed better. And just being around other entrepreneurs that that can give them that little bit of advice. Hey, I've been there, I've done that, and I failed, and this is why I failed, and those kind of things. To see all of that just happen. Is a beautiful thing. And then just to see those businesses that really grab onto those opportunities and they seize those resources and whatnot, and you see them just take off and then fly, and we say good luck to you and bye-bye, as a graduate, so that's probably the most exciting thing, is to really see people mature.
Now, this isn't the only entrepreneurial center you either direct or have connection with. How many in total do you?
Well, 3 currently. Marysville Entrepreneurial Center, the MEC, and the Ohio Christian University Business Innovation Center, the OCubic, which was an entrepreneur center built on that campus, which was pretty cool. And I'm on their governing board. So privileged to directly work with 3, and then I've been an advisor on committees for a number of others in Central Ohio as well.
Yeah, great area. Well, we're up against our first break. Interesting that the second segment's going to be about your story, which I would love to hear. We've had multiple conversations, but I would also love for our listeners to hear it too. The great thing about this show is that if you have this entrepreneurial bent, you'll understand and appreciate Chaz's story. So I'm looking forward to when you come back and join us after this first break so we can learn more about Chaz's story as he kind of had his professional journey. And then, of course, the last segment is going to be all about Entrepreneurial Center. So join us after the break for Chaz's story and more.
Inspire, influence, and connect your audience with digital signage. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Whether you need digital menu boards for your quick service restaurant, digital displays for marketing in your retail stores, or wayfinding and unified communications for your schools, your corporations, or your healthcare facility, our customizable, affordable options and proven experience make us the only partner you'll need for your next digital signage project. Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Remember the days when you first started your business? You wanted to make a difference. You wanted to add value to your loved ones, your future employees, your customers, and your community. Here at Accelerated Revenue, we focus on cost savings, customer and employee experience, and cash flow to help your business achieve more while doing less. Freedom. Contact us today to schedule a no-obligation introduction, either at our website, accrev.com, or give us a call at 614-789-3486.
Check out John's worldwide selling book, Wow Your Customers, 7 Ways to World-Class Service on Amazon. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the second segment of today's show with Chaz Freutel, serial entrepreneur with the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center and far more. We are proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions and far more on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. This perhaps, while the wow stories of clients, and I really love to hear those stories, this part I think is the most intriguing to me personally, and maybe even to some of our listeners, about the story of the journey that people have. So, Chaz, as far back as you'd like to go, we'd love to hear your story, where you started and what got you here.
Well, I'll start maybe midway through the deck time. I was at a Dublin area networking group meeting, led by Chris Borja, who's another just outstanding tenant of the deck as well, and just has pivoted beautifully through this COVID time to provide some tremendous online platforms for people. But I was at a Dublin area networking group meeting at the deck, and just networking, meeting people, which is just a critical part of growing entrepreneur. And met this young man who was 17, 18 at the time. He was a student at Ohio State University, and he detailed cars. He had a detail business maybe for 3 or 4 years. And that was, kind of giving him his extra money. And talked to him, and, just a friendly, great young man. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give him a shot at cleaning, my dad's Corvette, which was a 94, and I inherited that. So I said, come on over. It's a scheduled time. He came over, stood out there with him for about 3.5 hours as he's detailing the car. He's telling me what he's doing and the ingredients and all that kind of stuff. I'm impressed by this young guy. Okay. So move forward a year. My brother and I were driving down to Tennessee one time, and we got into this discussion about flipping cars, and each of us buying an older car, enjoying it a little bit, working on it, and then flip it, and buy something maybe a little nicer next.
Right.
And so I called up Ani and I said, hey, this is what we're looking to do, and he said, great, I'll help you. I'll come and detail your cars for you and get them ready to resale. But hey, by the way, I'm starting a dealership. And I said, "Whoa, we thought about that too. So when we're flipping cars, we don't have to pay the taxes, and the next person pays the taxes on the car. So we one thing led to another, and my brother and I ended up investing in that car dealership, and then that turned into wholesale, and then that turned into exotic rental cars, and so now we're not only got a successful dealership in Powell, a used car dealership, but also Lux Auto Depot, but also have a thriving wholesale business, and start to develop a fleet of rental cars, including some exotics. So
cool.
You never know how just going to one networking event can completely put a new plan in front of you. And I'm somebody of faith, so I try my best to follow God's plan for me. Sometimes I get in the way and try to do my own plan, all right? But try to follow his plan, and along the way, this is just one of those that I followed, and just contacted this young man, Ani, and moved forward. And now, gosh, I spend a good portion of my time focusing on the car business, which I never would have thought, 5 years ago.
Right. The entrepreneurial, I was selling poorly drawn, poorly colored pictures, hand-drawn pictures to my neighbors for a nickel or a dime, whatever they'd give me when I was 7. Nobody had to tell me to do that. My parents didn't tell me. My grandparents didn't. I just did it.
Yeah.
What do you think is the root of this entrepreneurial talent, skill, ability, drive that you have? Where do you think that might have started?
I don't know, but I think it's a compilation of a number of things. I had the lemonade stand in front of my in front of my house. And those kind of things at the younger age. So I guess it was just in you, and Gino Wickman is a great author,
yes.
Entrepreneurial Operating System Traction, which is a fantastic. He just wrote a new book called Entrepreneurial Leap. And actually I've been through the program, read the book, and now I'm actually a collaborator with him. There's 100 of them in the country, and I'm one of them that can go and reteach that class. And so we're going to start having some. and classes on Entrepreneurial Leap. And Entrepreneurial Leap basically puts you through an assessment and tells you whether or not you're an entrepreneur or not. And flat out at the end of the assessment will say, nope, you're not. So it's kind of maybe a little disappointment to some people, but if you're not, that doesn't mean you can't be a business owner and a solopreneur. Okay,
right. But
an entrepreneur in definition is where you can step away from your business and that business can run on its own. Or you become a serial entrepreneur and you've got multiple businesses or have multiple locations or something like that. So it's entrepreneurial is more than just having a little business on your own. But this assessment really tells you that, and so I'm excited about offering that to people and putting them through a program to really help them understand whether or not they truly are an entrepreneur. Now, I wouldn't have considered myself to be an entrepreneur 20 years ago.
Okay.
So I think you can change. So I think you can have the DNA inside of you, but through experience, only certain ingredients of that rise to the occasion. And so over time, you pick up more experience, you pick up more confidence, which is a key factor, relationships, all those kind of things, which all of a sudden one day you go, you know what, gosh, I score high on all the necessary ingredients to become truly an entrepreneur. And I would have said, no, I wasn't an entrepreneur when I started my business and got involved with the deck 12 years ago. It's probably taken 5 or 6 years of confidence and knowledge and experience and relationship building and all those kind of things where now I can comfortably say yes. And on the scale, I scored, I think, a 98, 99 out of 100 on that assessment. So so I think I am. I qualify pretty good. And I probably was hard on myself with couple of those points. But I think that's where the difference is it's something you can evolve into.
Okay.
But I think too many people jump into it without that experience and knowledge, and then they're not open to working with others to help them along the way. And unfortunately, that's why we have such a high failure rate in businesses.
Yes.
But the statistics show if you get yourself involved in a facility like the DEC or another entrepreneurial type center, you've got an 80% better chance of succeeding. So you got an 80% chance of failing as a new business in 5 to 10 years. You've got an 80% chance greater success of being successful if you get yourself in an environment like that. So why not get yourself in an environment like that, not trying to do it on your own. So places like the DEC and other facilities around Central Ohio, we were the first entrepreneur center. The DEC and the MEC were the first two, just next to each other, and now there's a lot.
Yes.
And then there's the co-working spaces too.
Yes,
I love the fact that they're out there. Are they competition in some way? Yeah, but you know what? It's great that Central Ohio has such a great group of those. I mean, every community now has at least one of something, a co-working place or an entrepreneur center, and that's just great for Central Ohio.
Yes.
And it really helps the small business employers grow.
Inspires all kinds of innovation, because we know that entrepreneurs, like you mentioned at the very first segment, right, about all the ideas they've got. They've got good ideas.
Yep.
And someone that's seasoned, that has relationships, that's seen a good wide variety, can also identify strengths, maybe weaknesses, maybe some flaws, can help them navigate, shorten the learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they're going to that and seeing that as a resource, the ones in particular that are coachable, teachable, that understand, I don't know everything, I've got this idea, the ones that come asking questions rather than like, I've got it all figured out. Those are probably the ones that greatly accelerate their opportunity to improve as well.
Or it's a shame if they don't.
Yes. All right, last segment, we're going to really dive into details about what the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center has to offer. We'll get to that in the last segment, so join us after the break when we return with Chaz Freutel.
Did you know that 70% of U.S. residents 12 and older recall seeing digital signage in the past week? Digital signage provides a 35% reduction in perceived wait time with a 30% increase in a customer's in-store browsing time. Kaufman Media offers customizable digital signage solutions designed to meet your company's specific goals. Christina said,
"We love our digital signage. The software is easy to use and we can publish content in minutes. It allows for every department to be seen and have a voice."
Visit kaufmanmedia.com today to learn more. That's COFFMAN media.com.
Attention event planners. Is your company or association planning a conference, seminar, or staff retreat? Are you looking for fresh ideas on high-demand topics like customer experience, leadership, empathy, customer service, earning and keeping trust, and more? Then you need to book John D. Hansen as your next speaker. Brooke said,
"Great presentation. John's concepts help shift my thinking. A good fit for my life right now."
Read more testimonials, discover John's full list of speaking topics, check out pricing and more on our website, accrev.com/keynote.
Would you like to be a guest on the Heroic Experience? Contact us at john.hansen@accrev.com. Now, once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's show with Chaz Freutel. We are so proudly sponsored by Kaufman Media. Check out their digital signage solutions, far more, on their website, kaufmanmedia.com. That's spelled COFFMAN media.com. Chaz, this is where we jump into the nuts and bolts. Dublin Entrepreneurial Center. If nobody's heard of an entrepreneur, let's start there. Entrepreneurial Center, like, what is that? If you were to explain what an entrepreneurial center is to someone that has an idea and thinks, well, now you're saying 80% greater chance if I'm in this environment that helps foster and nurture good ideas. What is an entrepreneurial center, and how does that help someone with an idea?
Well, I think any time that you can bring yourself into a group of folks that are knowledgeable, folks that are experienced, folks that can share resources, those kinds of things, then that's a plus, okay, for any business.
Sure.
When you've got a facility that actually focuses on that, okay, and Dana McDaniel, the current city manager of the city of Dublin, he was head of economic development back when the deck was first visualized, and they partnered with Revlon Ventures, which was Tech Columbus back at that time, but evolved into Brand. His vision was to create that environment where people could come together, get education, build relationships, meet people that are like in trying to develop a tech business or whatever kind of business it might be, and then bringing professionals in like legal and accounting and banking and all of those kinds of insurance, those kinds of things that you are basics for starting a business, and bringing those all together. And so that can be done in different environments at different levels. Obviously, most co-working places bring more of the networking and the social, and give you maybe some space, temporarily for something. An entrepreneur center is really a place that's more fixed. You can call that your home. We have, like I said, between 135 and 160 businesses on site at any given time. So we're one of the largest in the United States at providing that. But on site, we bring those folks. We bring those accountants and lawyers and insurance representatives and marketing and all those tools that you need on site. And then we have on-site programming, education. What's the next marketing thing you should consider, or whatever, social media, whatever it might be, to help that business to continue to grow, and to help the business leaders within that business continue to grow. Educate themselves, step back and work on their business and not just for their business on a daily basis, which is something that's easy to happen, especially if you're a solopreneur to start off with. You're wanting to make money, you're wanting to make your business succeed, and so you work for your business too much, and you don't step back and say, you know what, I need to give so many hours a month to working on my business, getting more education, looking to see what my next pivot might be. And one of the mistakes that I see with most business owners is they don't have clarity. So they'll come into the deck and I'll say, tell me what you do, and they'll 10 minutes or more later, they're done telling me what they do. You know what? And they should be able to do that in 30 to 45 seconds. Right. If they can't clearly articulate what they do in 30 to 45 seconds, then they're missing the mark, okay? Because we all know that, after about a minute, people start to wander, and they're not listening to you as much, okay? And so if you can't share what you do in that short period of time, and that's why commercials on TV or radio or whatever are only 30 seconds or 45 seconds or whatever, because you need to grab the person's attention and then either get them to look for you on the website or ask for more or whatever. And way too many businesses just jump in think they've got a good message, but they don't. They really don't have clarity to what they're doing. So I love just to sit down and talk to people and say, hey, tell me about your business, and then hear what they say on their own without prodding them in any way. And then trying to give them some positive feedback and say, hey, we can help you, and this is maybe an area where we can help to strengthen what you do and those kind of things. And so it's exciting to be able to do that. And it was really Dana's and then Colleen Gilger, who's the current head of economic development for the city of Dublin and city council, folks like Rick Gerber, former city council member, who just saw that vision, and city of Dublin invested, in having a facility like the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center.
And that's win-win. You mentioned about clarity, and I remember you were super helpful in helping me identify that early on when I had an idea, but it wasn't clear. The message wasn't clear. Since then, I've read some phenomenal books. One of them was Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Mm-hmm. And one sentence in that book sticks in my head all the time that says that clarity repels, confusion repels, clarity attracts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have clarity, then you're not going to be able to attract the people that you want anyways.
Right.
On top of that, you talked about the environment. Mm-hmm. So say that someone, and I understand startup, I've been in that world where you're trying to start aggressively, but you don't have necessarily a whole lot of capital to work with. Mm-hmm. But I also know that there's a distinct advantage where if you don't have an office space of your own, that if you're trying to do it like at a home space, a home office, mm-hmm. Maybe at a coffee shop, I think there's a distinct advantage, and I remember experiencing this, not just the educational workshops that were offered free of charge, experts would come in, but the relationships, the environment, the knowledge and experience, the questions that would be asked that could help someone on their path. None of this costs any money. And then the cost to have space in an entrepreneurial center, I'm thinking of two things, mindset and environment. Mm-hmm. The environment is different, and when you're in a professional space as opposed to your own, or a coffee shop, could you touch on what you've seen the benefits are both from mindset and then environment when you're in that as someone in startup mode?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I can just speak to mine. I started out, with my own business, Get You Connected, and built my home office. And then 2 months later, I get this notification from a good friend who says, hey, the Dublin Entrepreneurial Center is getting created and they're having a lunch meeting. I'm like, oh, wow. So I went and I'm like, oh, this is where I need to be. I want to help people get their businesses started and grow. And so this is where I need to be. So my wife's like, okay, well, you just furnished this office at home and now you're going to, take it on the road. No, it's I think people thrive when they're around others, mm-hmm. and when others can kind of point out weaknesses to them, which you've got to be coachable. But also just that environment, that buzz, you walk around on the third floor of the deck, because we have space on the first floor and the third floor of this 565 Metro Place South. And when you're walking around, you just feel that buzz because you see people working in their offices, you see people walking around, and if you seize on the opportunity of talking to those people, you catch their excitement. Why are they in business? And if you talk to each one of them, each person has their own story, and that excites you when you know that, hey, this person started from nothing. They didn't get any loans, they didn't get any investment, and they've been bootstrapping it all away. And,
right.
And that's what makes it. And when you're handed money early, that's when I see a lot of failures,
Really?
because when you're handed money early, you don't know how to make it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you tend to spend a little bit too much at the beginning. So I think being around others and getting that advice from others really, really can help you. And any of the environments like that in Central Ohio are great. Just the deck is just got some excellent statistics on how we can help folks and be more successful when they graduate.
So what's the best way to get a hold of you, Chaz?
The best way is go to Decin Dublin, DECIN Dublin.com, or look me up and give me a call on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and be happy to help. I'm a relationship kind of guy, and I like to help people in any way I can to be more successful.
Well, I can attest to that firsthand. So thank you for being a guest, and thank you for investing into my professional journey. The Accelerated Revenue, this heroic experience show, can be found on Spotify, Podbean, on our YouTube channel, Accelerated Revenue, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. So join us on one of those channels and the next time on the Accelerated Revenue Heroic Experience.
This has been the Heroic Experience. To learn how your business can be profitable and heroic, visit accrev.com. For access to free weekly content, subscribe to the Accelerated Revenue YouTube channel and follow John D. Hanson on LinkedIn. To listen to archived shows, find them on the Accelerated Revenue website under the Resources tab, accrev.com.